Some people struggle with writtens. I never mess up a sentence. I'm being honest with y'all. It just comes out how I think it. I sound direct in the flow, but in my brain it goes twice as fast. Smooth on the track, but my thoughts are long-winded. In the pocket like the rhythm of the slumping beat. Remarkable feat to craft something truly unique. I could go on and on about the process. It's been some trite nonsense. You guys know the rapper speaking here is not a novice. So I'll move on. You say I'm weak, you wrong. Messing with my paper and you still gon' get the two horns. I got a family to feed. Some people work blue collar, some people cheat stock markets. I do the rhymes and the beats. For sale or for lease, promoting the peace. I go all out till the last round, never retreat. I build upon the efforts that I manage. Took a few L's, but your man is still standing. By the way, pleased to meet you, pleased to meet you, pleased to meet you. They call me Philocipher. Pleased to meet you, pleased to meet you, pleased to meet you. They call me Philocipher. Pleased to meet you, pleased to meet you, pleased to meet you. They call me Philocipher. Pleased to meet you.
Welcome back to the Poets Return podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Bowie, and tonight we are debuting our bonus episode leading up to the two-part season finale for our first season at Poets Return. And we couldn't have done it without all of your support, listening, and just being here with us on this journey. It's been incredible getting to listen to all of these writers and storytellers and poets share their journeys and their process and their inspirations, their struggles. It's been really, really wonderful sharing it with all of you. And tonight is really cool because the Milkcrate Monologues is a show that debuted at Stella Adler in Hollywood through the Town Street Theater. Its premiere was actually back in October before all of this madness happened, and it was written by Ron Johnson, aka RJ Wayne, rap name Philocipher, who will be our guest for tomorrow and Friday night for our season finale, parts 1 and 2. And Ron was kind enough to let me be a fly on the wall and actually, in November, go to Stella Adler's recording studio, where he and the entire Milkcrate Monologues cast were recording a cast album, where they were actually recording the tracks in the show as a cast collaboratively, which is really awesome that I got to be there to meet them and watch them in their process. So I want to give a huge thank you again to Ron and all of the cast. I didn't get to interview every member of the Milkcrate Monologues, but I did get to interview most of them, so that's awesome. You're going to get to meet and hear from them today. I also want to thank Dan and Andrew for letting me be there, helping me, supporting me, and also Estrella for helping me find corners to record these interviews in as the cast was in the studio, in and out, trying to grab them between sessions. So this is all on Voice Record Pro on my phone, and it was just really cool getting to talk to them, hear how they came across the audition process, and how they got to know Ron, how they got to know each other, and also how they got to take ownership of being rappers. And that was one thing that they all really agreed on about this show is, they were talking about their relationship with rap and hip-hop as a culture and poetry, how Ron's faith and knowledge really educated them. He took them to what they all called rap school. And it educated them not only on the history and influence and the culture of hip hop, but it also taught them to believe in their place in the circle and to believe in their voice in the movement, their responsibility, most importantly, to get up and be a part of that cipher, because this culture requires participation. So I'm really excited to introduce you to them. Our very first interview, our very first cast member, is with Shayla Riggle Hudson-Williams, who goes by her rap alias in the show, Shaytime. Now, Shaytime actually works in film sales, distribution, and finance, so she has a whole full-time gig, and she wasn't sure if she was going to be able to make Milkcrate work with her schedule, but when she got to go to rap school and get her hip-hop education with Ron and saw the words on the page and saw the story, she knew she had to make it work. And so I had a great time getting to know Shayla, and I know you will too. So here is Shaytime.
See, I first got involved with Milkcrate Monologues because I went in and I auditioned for Town Street Theater. And so I came in and I did my Queen Margaret monologue from Henry VI, Part 3.
Whew.
And that's like my favorite monologue.
One of my favorites too.
All
Dude,
time.
so powerful.
I love her so much.
Ooh, yes.
It's like a dream role to
Yeah.
play her. And so I ended up doing that, and Ron was sitting there, and he was like, "Can you rap?" I was like, "You know what? I can act like it, though."
If you can do Shakespeare, you can rap,
we
too.
can rap. It's like, we doing this Miami Pentameter? We're doing this. We're going to do this.
Stress syllables, I can do this.
Right? Come on. I didn't think I was going to be able to do it at all. And Then I heard we're going to rap school. I was like, oh my goodness, I rap suburbs all day, but we're gonna do this, Shayla. I just remember reading it and then, getting it on its feet for the first time. And I was so glad, and I felt really fortunate to be able to do this piece of work, because it is definitely, it's amazing.
It is.
Yeah. It was just magic. It was like we all gelled, and I felt like I've known these people for eons, and but we just met
right
a couple weeks ago. But no, I think we all felt a personal responsibility.
Yeah.
Because this is someone else's life.
Right.
And RJ, aka Ron,
right.
is a walking encyclopedia of all things hip hop. And when you hear him describe where he was in his life when he wrote this, you cannot help but feel a personal responsibility to make sure, it's like, did I say that right?
Right.
Did I put the period there in the comma? It's
the specificity of that story.
Yes.
There was a shared fearlessness which starting from the cipher at the beginning, welcoming the community, and of course everybody's like, I'm not getting up there. I'm not walking down there. I'm not going over there. And the circle's open. Like, we all see it's a semi. I know it's open, but I'm not going up there. Because it's not even, it's like the intimidation. I think that's one of the most powerful things about the hip hop community is we get intimidated sometimes, but it's really because I think people want it so badly. Mm-hmm. They want that so badly, to be able to fiercely communicate, say the truth, be raw, be vulnerable, and feel supported, and
right.
have that sense of community. That's what people are starving for, but people are very afraid to get up
yes.
and participate. We don't want to be held accountable also.
Exactly. That part. You don't want to get up there and stink up the place.
No, you don't.
You don't want to get up there.
You don't.
But I think the thing is it's one of the most, I believe, honest forms of communication. Mm-hmm. And people can tell right away, the whole saying of, man, they're fake, man, that's whack, because you're not being authentic.
Yes.
I think that is one of the last forms of music or mediums of music that you cannot fake that. Mm-mm. And that's what makes people so nervous, because we're in this society now to where everything is so surface.
Completely.
And everything is so put on.
It's easy to hide.
100% easy to hide. You can't hide with this.
No.
And when he first approached us and said, you have to do your own cipher and come up with your own persona, I was like, what is that? I remember when NWA came out, and everybody lost their minds.
Oh my gosh.
Lost their minds. I remember my cousin had the tape.
Miss cassettes.
Had the cassette tape. And I remember we were in San Diego, and he was bumping it in the garage, and I was 11, 12. And we were listening to it in the garage, and I remember his mom, my aunt, coming out like, what is this? What is this? And he's like, Mom, he's like, this is the sign of the times, Mom. We're not telling this story. People need to know what it's like. And he's right, mm-hmm. because those stories were not being told. And then I feel like from that music spawned a whole era of fabulous storytelling.
Yes.
I genuinely credit NWA to the evolution of the boys in the hood, and to set it off. There's this well, I need to see what happened with the verdict on that, but there's an amazing businessman. His name is Byron Allen. And if you can look up and see what that man has done, it's incredible. And he says something that I think is just indicative to what I think a lot of the, old school hip hop groups, had to do, which he said, look, I am not asking for my seat at the table. I am taking my seat at the table. And that, I believe, is what these prolific hip-hop groups did in their music. But these guys have transcended and said, not only am I going to take my seat at the table, but I am now going to own the table, all the chairs, and I'm gonna own the room in the building in which the table is in.
So our next cast member that I'm going to introduce you to, and I got to sit down with, was Scotty Crow, who is a wonderful Georgia boy. He's from the South, moved here to Southern California pursuing acting, and he's always loved hip-hop, but he's always been on the audience side of it, the spectator side. And so this was his first time really performing it. And because of the hip-hop and the rap education that Ron gave him, it really gave him the confidence to rap and to participate and to share his voice. So here is Scotty Crow, a.k.a. Sega.
In addition to the Milkcrate team, it's like the entire Town Street Theater team. And so I had to do the monologue and the 16. And so like that was the biggest stage at that point that I'd ever rapped on. So I left kind of feeling like that vulnerable space that I think actors feel, you know, where it's like, oh, I don't know how that went.
I don't know how that went, yeah.
But yeah, then I guess that like Ron saw something in me that made me a fit for the show. So came back to the callback, and the callback felt more like a workshop than anything else, which was awesome. So got to actually meet maybe like half of the cast that ended up doing the show at the callback, which was great. Worked with them, and then a couple days later heard that I was part of the cast.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, and so tell me sort of just a little bit of your background with rap, because you said this is the biggest stage you've had to sort of explore that medium.
Yeah. So I grew up, I feel like everybody in the cast is probably tired of me talking about it, but I grew up in Georgia in the South. And so I grew up listening to Outkast and Dungeon Family and Goody Mob. But I think that the stories in that music, I think as a young person really influenced how I see the world. I think through a lens of justice and equity, and ultimately I think because I feel real conflicted about where I'm from, the poetry and the communication of story through rap music in the South really makes me proud to be where I'm from.
Yeah.
And so I think that like that then bled into me appreciating hip hop overall, like, and everything from like conscious underground hip hop to like pop party rap. Like I sort of enjoy it all in different ways, and I think it's got its different forms for me. But I think that's where it all started. And then since then, I think that it's just a genre of music that I keep going back to, and I think that it's one too that feels like Outkast stuff feels so timeless to me, and maybe that's because I'm a fan, but I feel like if their second album came out now, it's like 20 years old, like it would be seen as like the most progressive piece of art out, and I think that there's something really beautiful in that a lot of people don't see when they're not keyed into rap and hip hop as like a genre of like art and poetry and creativity. I found that I was having an emotional response just reading through the manuscript for the first time, because I think that like the specifics of Ron's story are so universal in different ways, and so I think to be a vehicle for that, and I think like you said, to have a platform, because it's this genre of music and this culture that I've loved so much but never actually been like a performer in,
right,
you know what I mean?
Right.
And so it's like influenced me in a lot of different ways creatively, but
you've been more in the audience, so it's cool to get up and use that inspiration that you've witnessed and you've experienced. That's and you've emotionally, responded to. So that's really cool.
I think it was challenging for a lot of us because not a lot of us are rappers, you know what I mean?
Right. You don't identify as rappers.
Or we didn't. Now we do.
Yeah.
Now I think 10 out of 10.
You're not off the hook now.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was even saying that like it's in fun and meaningful ways. It's like it's transferred over where like some other cast members and I, we have like a little group chat and we'll send each other like audio clips like of a freestyle, and then so like I'll send you something and then you'll take my last line, it'll be the first line of yours.
I love
which
that.
Which is just an activity that Ron taught us, but like now we have this group chat that's just like a string of audio files, And
who knows what that will turn into. That could be the next show.
Right.
Like, that's beautiful. And I think that's what all of this is. Art begets art, collaboration begets further collaboration. And if you're working towards something that you know is truthful and it speaks to you and it's a story that needs to be told, it's only going to get more people to get up off their asses and like feel something and do something.
That's right.
Good shit, Scotty.
Hey, thank you, Roy.
Our next Milkcrate cast member that I got to sit down with is Jacqueline Castañeda. Her MC name, La Malcriada. Admittedly, I had to ask Jacqueline and look it up later again to remember exactly what it meant, but it means bad girl in Spanish, which is amazing. And Jacqueline, I think she speaks for herself. So here she is, MC La Malcriada.
I'm a company member of Town Street Theater, and I received an email from Nancy Davis, who's our artistic director. I didn't quite fully believe that I could be in this production, so I didn't go to the audition, but they were doing the callbacks, and RJ was like, no, like, let's bring Jackie in, let's see what she has.
How cool.
And then callbacks were, like, pretty exciting, and I just did my thing, and that's how I got involved in the production. It was a really introspective process, even getting our MC alter ego to really shine. And my alter ego, I thought initially was nothing like my own person. Like, that is not me. Mm-hmm. But throughout the whole process, I was like, no, wait, this is me. This is like the Jackie that's coming out. Like, there's a reason why she's coming out. Yeah. So, and especially with RJ and Estrella, they were just amazing mentors. And like a thing that RJ would kind of emphasize in the beginning was like, okay, like, I know y'all are like from acting backgrounds, and that's great, and all the training and like expertise and like all your classes like that has helped you, but being an MC, being a rapper is like a whole nother level. Mm-hmm. Because there's nothing that you can hide behind. It was a really collaborative experience with just like everybody in ensemble is like putting out their heart and soul in it, so you can't not witness that and be like, hey, like, you know, like, we just like bonded, and
it's contagious.
And like we, like, even if we were struggling or whatever, like, none of us made it seem like we were outsiders. Like, everybody was like rooting each other on, like, from day one.
And the amount of truth and vulnerability that you all bring to it, again, it's like you make this contractual agreement where don't give me that weak shit. Yeah. There's no other option. There's like no going back. It's like you pull, it's like when Neo took the pill in the Matrix. Like, you can't, like, once you see the Matrix, you can't go back.
Like, we're digging deep, and I think rap has a really special way of presenting the truth in a way where you can't escape it, but also like that medicine that you need.
Totally. Yeah. You don't know you need it until you're taking it. And you're like, oh, this is what I've been missing.
Yeah. And it's just like the amount of not only precision that needs to be executed. It's precision, it's wit, it's like the scrappy, like, hey, like, this shit is me.
It's a grittiness.
Yeah. And it's also that vulnerability. And I think a lot of like, even today, like, some people don't like to go there, but, you know, like, the real, like, the good shit is the shit that, like, really hits you deep.
The next Milkcrate cast member is somebody that you have actually already met if you've been listening to season 1 of Poets Return. Cairo Spencer was on Poets Return this season already, episode 6. Cairo was actually on episode 6, How It All Comes Together. And it was really great getting to sit down with him one-on-one in a more in-depth way after this interview you're about to hear, and actually hear him spit some raps and rhymes and read his poetry to me. But it was also great getting briefly acquainted with him just at Stella Adler in that room between sessions recording. It was really cool to hear him talk about how it had been 2 years since he'd been on stage and how important it was for him to have this experience in rap education. And it was just great to get to see somebody so young and vibrant and inspired by this whole process. So here's Cairo Spencer, a.k.a. Sir Eloquent.
Yeah, I hadn't been on stage, and I think I even wrote a rap about it. Yeah, like, it's been 360 since 30 since I've been on a stage, haven't spoken the words of a play. Yeah, so, like, yeah, it had been a long time. I feel like because rapping, or just a rapper in general, has such a specific stereotype as to what kind of person that is, even though I write and even though I know music and I can put a rhyme and poems together, I would never say, oh, I'm a rapper.
I'm a rapper,
I even said that in my audition. I was like, I'm just doing y'all a favor. I'm not a rapper. But
I like that. I'm just doing y'all a favor.
But you know, RJ said, you know, during rehearsal one time, you have to tell yourself that it's okay for you to be an artist. It's okay for you to put yourself into it. So I had to be like, okay, Kyle, like, you don't consider yourself a rapper, but you can do all these things, so why not go ahead and say that you are?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the confidence that I came in with it. And RJ said I was doing great, and I understood everything he was saying in terms of the history of rap and all the rap schemes. I knew kind of all that stuff already. So there's no reason why I can't say that I'm a rapper now.
It was pretty incredible listening to Kyla Monet, who is your next Milkcrate cast member, when she told me that she'd only been here for a few months in Los Angeles. She'd moved out here to act and had auditioned for Milkcrate Monologues and found this amazing group of people and had been really looking for a sense of community when she came to LA and found her family at Town Street Theater. So it was really awesome getting to see those beginnings and getting to see how excited she was to be here and be a part of this team. So here's Kyla Monet, aka Killa Kai.
So yeah, I actually just moved out to LA. I've been here 4 months.
What?
Yes.
Where did you come from?
Philadelphia.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's a way to get started, though.
Yes.
Get a
So
community
that's how I
and...
feel. Yes. Mm-hmm. So I've been submitting to everything I could possibly submit to, and I got a email for Milkcrate. Came in, did 16 bars, did a monologue, and then got a call back, and I was like, wait, what? And then did the call back, and then got the offer. That's how I heard about Milkcrate.
One of the hardest things about moving to any city, but especially I think Los Angeles, is finding community and finding good people.
Yes.
And an artistic community that you can kind of have that expression with and feel safe and vulnerable.
Definitely. That's one thing before I came out here was like, I need to find my community. I need to find it immediately. Or even if gradually it comes, like I just need to be putting myself out there.
You need to start planting the plant, like as soon as,
Yes, like I know things won't happen immediately, but as long as I'm connecting with people, I'll be okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A lot of people have said that before this, they didn't really identify as rappers, and now having this experience, they can kind of feel more confident in saying like, no, I'm a rapper. Do you feel that way as well?
Oh, definitely. So when I was studying acting, we would do like little exercises, and I like had like a rap persona a little bit, but it was just playing. Mm-hmm. But when we started rehearsal for Milkcrate and RJ Wayne said we're going to rap school, we really went to rap school.
Yeah.
Like before we even touched the script, we went over everything of being a rapper, from the persona of being a rapper, from the rhyme scheme of rapping, like from the history of where rapping even began. So now I can say, oh yes, I'm a rapper, and anyone who steps to me, I'll handle myself, because RJ Wayne literally sat us down and went to rap school with us. When I think about this whole group, this entire group, it just makes me feel like so special. This was something so dope to be a part of my first time in LA.
Yeah.
The package of it is very relatable, but it also teaches you something. And that's something that's why I fell into doing movies and doing acting, is because my mom always had me watching movies that were entertaining, but it also taught me something. One of my favorite movies is Serafina. Serafina is literally one of my favorite movies. It has music in it, but it teaches you about apartheid. I didn't know anything about apartheid before that movie. So I love this piece because that's what it's doing. It is teaching you, but giving it to you in such a way that you can accept it.
Yeah.
And you can listen to it and really vibe with it.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Next up, we have Carlos Diego Mendoza. Now, Carlos has also been on an episode of this season's Poets Return. He was on episode 4, Some Assembly Required. Carlos is a Bay Area native, and he and I totally hit it off right off the bat. We're both, more from the northern lands of California, and he's just an amazing person to talk to and get to know. He works with kids a lot, which you'll hear today in this little interview, and you could just tell how inspired he was by these people, this process, getting to work with Ron again a year later after having worked with him. And yeah, it was just awesome sitting down with him initially and then getting to do a follow-up interview one-on-one and really get to pick his brain about his process. So here is Carlos. You might know him as MC Kid Tenacious.
So actually, me and Ron go back a year now. Damn near a year. That's it.
As Ron is exiting.
I love you, bro.
It's a great comedic addition.
He's still closing the door. We met actually doing a theater show together back up in the Bay Area.
Oh.
And it was a show called American Night, The Ballad of Juan Jose. And it was in Los Altos at the Los Altos Stage Company Theater. And it was a really amazing show. I had auditioned to it pre me moving to LA. I'm originally from the Bay Area. And this was kind of my last, not my last hurrah, but kind of my last hurrah as far as when it came to theater, because I'm kind of trying to switch gears, in the process of switching gears to TV and film. But let's be honest, I'm never going to stop doing theater.
Feel you.
You know
Same.
what I mean?
Same.
As you can see, I've done this show.
Right.
So theater is my love, and I'll always be involved in some capacity.
There's something magical about live performances.
Yeah.
You just can't quite match.
Yeah. That's where I met Ron. He was part of the ensemble with me, and we hit it off. That's where I found out that he did rap and that he was in the industry for quite some time, and we just started chopping it up about hip hop, about the culture, about his own work. I got to listen to on Spotify on my way home one night, and I was like, "Oh shit, you're actually dope, dude!"
Right.
I grew up in the Bay Area, and I grew up during the hyphy movement. I don't know if you're familiar.
Very much.
Mac Dre,
Fresno,
E40.
so
Okay, yes, go Fresno. Yes.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so I very much grew up during the hyphy movement, where everyone started having also the access and capability of having their own recording studio. So best believe all my friends had an album out or had a mixtape out. So I'm used to chopping it up with people and everyone saying, "Oh yeah, I have a mixtape out. I'm a rapper. Check my stuff out." Mm-hmm. And so when Ron told me, he was like, "Oh, okay, cool. Another cool cat that does music on the side or whatnot, whatever." But when I listened to him, I was like, "This does not sound like you're," especially during kind of our era right now, where we're in a weird transition, or just at least, I mean, I'm a '90s baby, so I'm not used to hearing this type of music.
Same.
It's very basic, and it's very party, and it's very, to me, there's no underlying substance.
Same.
When I heard his, that's what it was. It was substance at its purest form. And it sounded very much like where hip hop came from. It sounded like East Coast type of stuff, but still in its unique West Coast philosopher way. Right. And so I fell in love with it right away, and we continued having a relationship after the show. Serendipitously, is that how you say the word?
Serendipitously.
Serendipitously.
There you go.
I'm trying to sound like T.I. right now. Expeditiously. Serendipitously. We moved to L.A. around the same time. He was always going back and forth, but we found each other kind of around the same time, and he got the opportunity to produce this show, the Milkcrate Monologues, here on Hollywood Boulevard.
Yep.
And he hit me up. He was like, "You gotta come audition for it." So I came through. I did not think twice about it, and the rest is history, yo. Like we put up the show in about a month. Less than 10 rehearsals, maybe.
It's crazy.
He took us to rap school, and I've just never been so grateful to be involved in a process like this, where it's still generating a lot of interest and generating a lot of conversation. In like how I mentioned, as far as where hip hop and rap is at, it's good to see things like this that are well and alive. You know, there was a while where I felt like, fuck, like, we lost it, or did we lose it?
Right.
No, we didn't. There's a lot of us out here, and it's well and alive.
Yes.
So I've been blessed and grateful. I want to share this story because I'm also a substitute teacher for the inner cities here, and I was at a school in Compton, and the thing that warms my heart is, and the reason I know hip hop is well and alive. I was teaching a kindergarten class, and we were on a break, a recess. And this little 5-year-old, 6-year-old little dude, we were just talking, we were chopping it up, and he started freestyling. He was like, "Do you know, Mr. Carlos, you know how to beatbox?" I was like, yeah, I could beatbox. He's like, "Why? Are you gonna spit something? You gonna freestyle?" He was like, "Oh yeah, I freestyle on my free time." It's like, okay, let's go. So I beatboxed for him real quick, and he started freestyling the 5-6-year-old kindergarten, and I wasn't expecting what I heard. And what I heard was he started freestyling about living with his mama, about making food for her when he got home, about coming to school with beat up sneakers, but still having the swag of a 19-year-old.
Holy shit.
And I was like, I am not worried at all. I am not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the problem is that we don't talk about these people. We don't talk about these kids, you know? The light is on the Post Malones, on the,
right.
You know? And I'm not gonna lie, I rock to some music.
Well, no,
you know,
right.
there's
I've
nothing wrong
myself
with
bopping
it.
all the time.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it.
But
you know, party music's cool.
It
You know,
is.
and it's part of the culture. But when it's commercialized and that's all you see and that's all that you think hip hop is, that's the problem.
Right.
You know.
So last but most certainly not least, I actually interviewed Akshaya Patnaik last, aka AGB, which stands for Akshaya's Got Bars. So Akshaya, his story was just so cool. We actually kind of had to whisper, so it's a little quieter. Estrella found us a little corner in a costume room because they were recording, and it was just awesome to listen to his story and his background and how he discovered this culture, discovered this show, and how amazing it was that Ron gave him this opportunity and this education that has just lit him on fire with the passion for this. And the poetry that he's experienced doing this, I can just tell it's something that he's going to continue to do for the rest of his life. So I'm really excited for you to meet him. Here's Akshaya, aka AGB.
I first auditioned for Down Street Theatre when they were doing a sort of some poetry event, and they were calling artists and poetry people. And RJ was one of those people that was auditioning me alongside other folks that were working at TST. And I just, it was just, my first piece of poetry was rap, just as rap without any beats, because that's just how I conceived it. It was just the mumbling and jumbling of words that finally made some sense. And I'd never done it to beats before, and RJ got together with me and beatboxed for me for the first time because I wanted to, take that plunge, and he was very giving to be able to do that. That's how I developed a relationship with him. Wow. Just kind of sharing the green room and being in that experience. And then I auditioned for Milkcrate Monologues, and that then became a continuous exploration. We've just been going strong, which is cool. At that time, I was working for the School of Dentistry. I was, as a student job, I was cleaning up labs, and even the people that hired me knew that this was a student position, so, they kind of left me alone. There wasn't much work.
You're left to your own devices
I was left to my own devices. So it was a combination of yoga, listening to rap, and then being left to my own devices.
What a good little formula.
Was when I started writing my first couple of raps.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Because, when you get it in your head and you have that rhythm, you get inspired, and then you have your own words that come to you and flow through you. I'm sure it's kind of like, what is this?
Yes. Well, I've never spoken about it in this way
Really
before.
cool, though.
Yeah.
That's so how long ago was that you were doing that, working there and kind of discovering this?
This was last summer, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was again a code switch, because it was like, at that time I was working with the Shakespeare Company, and so it was during the day doing this and kind of twiddling my thumbs somehow in some form of productivity. And then in the evening, I was playing a very coveted part, but I had only 3 lines. I was playing Mutius in Titus Andronicus, where I clicked swords 3 times and die. It turns out that the iambic and the rhythm of that also served me
Completely.
right back in towards writing more rap. So I think that's been then a continuous journey.
Right, your foundation just kept growing from there as you've now gotten to be a part of this now.
Yeah. Now people are like, now I'm asking myself to do it, and I'm in an environment where there is a requirement to write more stuff.
Which is exciting.
Yes.
It can be daunting sometimes.
Yes. In my head, I was like, can I go back to the lab at the School of Dentistry and RJ, he could have done the whole thing himself if he wanted to.
Right.
He could have taken the reins upon himself and toured with it and and performed it in front of an audience. But he chose to make it a ritualistic ensemble piece and bring a diversity of thought and a diversity of voices to make this more filled so that he could discover more stuff in his piece and so that we could serve him as well. So I think that was what was important about it.
It's like the magic of collaboration, because when you hear somebody else say your words, you're going to hear it in a different tone, a different light. You're going to see a different perspective, and it's just, it's enlightening. I'm sure it's been very enlightening for him.
Yeah.
Completely. I'm sure that's very liberating for him and empowering for you as an ensemble to take the reins.
And you see, when there is a sort of environment of letting go, and there's no sense of control, we were able to use our instincts.
Well, thank you for talking to me. I think that this is amazing work, and I love seeing all of you come to life, and I feel really blessed to be a fly on the wall for this whole process. So
Thank you for having me.
Yay! The Milkcrate Monologues cast album will be coming out, and as soon as it is released, we will send those details to all of you. Now, make sure that you listen in tomorrow to actually hear the full part 1 of our season finale with RJ Wayne, Ron Johnson, aka MC Phyllis Cypher, and then part 2 on Friday as well, concluding our first season of Poets Return. Again, we couldn't have done it without all of you, and we really want to make season 2 even better. We want the audio to be better. We want to be able to go on the road. We want to give you visuals. And during our interim, we're going to try to reconnect with a lot of our poets from season 1, obviously over the phone due to the LA County quarantine continuing and the stay-at-home order staying alive. So do stay home and stay safe, but we will persevere. We will still be getting you interviews. We have some amazing guests for season 2. I got to interview people from all over the globe. Actually, I have people from Africa, Central America, different parts of the United States. So I'm very excited to introduce you to some of these wonderful, wonderful people. So if you want to help us in any way, which we would love, please subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us, give us a like, give us a 5-star review if you can on Apple Podcasts. Also, it's really easy to support if you go to anchor.fm/Poets Return. It's really easy to find not only places to listen, but to support us and show us your love. So thank you again to everyone out there for your continued love, and just, I know it's not easy right now, so thank you for being strong and staying together and staying with us. And as always, use your words well. This audio production is copyright 2019 by the Poets Return podcast, all rights reserved. The copyrights for each story are held by the respective authors. No duplication or reproduction of this audio program is permitted without the written consent of Melissa Bowie.
Pleased to meet you. 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 Pleased to meet you.